If you know the Serenity Prayer, will you say it with me? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. That's actually my go-to prayer, the Serenity Prayer. You know, when I talk about doing the golden key, when I talk about turning from the problem and thinking about God, the Serenity Prayer is what I use the most often. It's been with me for a very, very, very long time. And even if I'm in a panic state, especially if I'm in a panic state of any kind, discomfort of any kind, I don't have to concentrate too terribly hard to have it right here. And it's short enough and long enough all at the same time. So it's my go-to prayer. So I wanted to talk to you about it today. I think over the next few weeks we'll be talking about various prayers. And I wanted to start with this one because it is the one I go to when I don't have anything else in mind. God, grant me the serenity. Right off the bat, I'm asking to be removed from whatever discomfort it is I'm experiencing. And I feel better. You know, that was written, actually I left my card here. There you go. I apologize. Yeah, you know, this morning was a little bit crazy. So I apologize, but thank you for your patience. The Serenity Prayer, Reinhold Niebuhr, he wrote it sometime around 1934. They're not exactly certain. And it's a longer version, so I'm going to share that with you. And it's different also than the version that we're used to saying. So I'm going to share it with you. God, give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed. Courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. So that's the original version of the Serenity Prayer. Of course, we only say the first part, and then we changed it a little bit too. It's actually a lot of different versions of it. If you Google it, you'll get all kinds of different versions, but the one that I'm most familiar with, you all said with me, so I think that's the one you're familiar with also, right? It's very, very popular in 12-step groups, in recovery meetings. It's their go-to prayer also, very often. What happened was a member of AA saw the prayer written up in the New York Tribune, actually. And he liked it so much, he asked the secretary of AA if she would send it off and have it made into little business cards. So she did. She called a printer and sent him just the first part of the prayer. And when the printer got it, he loved it so much that he sent the group 500 for free. So that's how, and then that's back in 1941, and so recovery meetings have been using it ever since. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's not a new idea. It's been around for thousands of years. It's generally split into two categories. Those things that we are in complete control of, and those things that we are not in complete control of. But I like to split them into 3 because sometimes, you know, I have to have a little bit of space for denial. So I like to put them in things that are mine, things that aren't mine, and that don't know yet categories. Now, the Post-it notes come in because I was at this conference, right? And at there were business meetings, there was so much going on, and there were Post-it notes flying everywhere. And I was just sat there one day and I was like really focusing on just the wonder of the Post-it note, right? They have like come into our life and kind of taken over everything, right? You can Google pictures of people who've made clothing out of, I think the first one that we ever saw was Office Space. How many of you ever saw that movie? And the guy does a whole Post-it note suit with a tie and his little briefcase, right? People do just the craziest things with Post-it notes, but they also do some amazing portraits and crazy things with Post-it notes. Anyway, so I thought, I want to know a little bit more about the Post-it note. Oh. Spencer Silver and Arthur Fry, they invented the Post-it note in 1973. And Spencer Silver actually developed the glue that's on the back of the Post-it note. He was trying to come up with this super strong adhesive that could never break, but it would like almost like super glue, but better. He was trying to come up with that, and he came up with this instead. And nobody had ever seen a glue that would contact by touch, and then you could take it off and it'll leave no residue. That was like a brand new thing. He was pretty impressed with it, and he called it the solution without a problem. And he took that around 3M. Both of these gentlemen worked for GM. And he took it around GM trying to build it up, get somebody to see how they could use it, right? He did seminars, he talked to people informally, he dragged that stuff around forever. It wasn't until 1973 that Arthur Fry decided he wanted a bookmark for his church hymnal. He wanted to be able to put that bookmark in his hymnal exactly where he wanted it to stay. But then he didn't want to tear his page when he took it back off. And he remembered having seen Silver's workshop or seminar, so he went to visit him, and the two of them together invented this Post-it note. And the reason that it was originally yellow is because that's the color scrap paper the office next to him had. So what I was thinking was, how cool is it if in my mind I can take the Serenity prayer and break it down into Post-it notes for myself. So there's 3 parts to the Serenity prayer as I see it. We want serenity enough to accept. We want to be able to accept how things are going. Now that does not mean at any time that you have to like something that's unacceptable. Can you guys hear that? You do not ever have to say it's okay for something bad to be happening to you, to be harmed, for anyone that you know or love. You never have to say, oh, it's okay, not a big deal. It is a big deal. What you have to decide is, can you change it? And before you can actually do any kind of work toward changing it or making things better or coming up with solutions, you have to be serene and in the place where you can do your prayer and meditation work, right? We know that prayer and meditation is the answer to all of that, but you have to be serene first. And the only way that you can do that is if you are willing to take a moment and accept things that you can't change. How many of you had trouble with that? Yeah. Me too. Then the thing to tell yourself is always that if you're not willing at the moment to accept the things you cannot change, then what you're actually saying is that I am willing to suffer at this moment. And there's not a thing wrong with that either. As long as you are totally 100% clear about the fact that you are choosing to suffer in that moment. How many of you have actually thought, I'm suffering in this moment and I know it, I'm going to stay here? Yeah. Good. That's great self-awareness. That's awesome. Right? Choosing to suffer, it is a choice. Yeah, I don't like it either, but it's just the truth. You can't, yeah, just the truth. Then courage to change. So gosh, so often, especially if something's really, really totally unacceptable, and you do know that this is something that's yours to change or something that you have some power over, to be courageous enough to move forward in that action. That's a scary, scary thing. Right? But we do our prayer and meditation work first. We get recharged and built up in God. We're told whether or not, yes, this is truly your thing to do, and yes, you will have everything that you need to do it. Courage to change. And then there's always the wisdom to know the difference. Now, here is where my Post-it notes come in. Okay? This is what I was thinking about, Post-it notes in the Serenity prayer. All right. What category do these go into? My daughter's life. Okay, well, sometimes I think I can change it because I've got an answer. So should I be changing it? Should I be working toward it? Probably not. That's going to go over here. That's not mine to do. Right? Being on to work on time. Anybody else have a tardiness issue? Being to work on time. Mine to do? Yes, I think so. So we're going to put this over here. Now, what's one that you wouldn't know yet? Or you have to think about it a little bit. I think for me, the ones that come in the dono are for the children. I get a little bit confused sometimes when it comes to the children. I have to take a little extra time to do some prayer and meditation work around what's mine to do with the kids. So write that one down, and there's the third pile, the dono pile, right? So that's why it's like, all we really need are these sticky notes. And we put them into piles, and then our whole day, everything that we do can be right there. Well, this is the pile that I'm going to work on today. These things I'm going to leave to God. I'm going to do a little prayer and meditation work later. I'm going to figure out, really, truly, am I supposed to be in this at all? I can so get in my daughter's business, and the older she gets, the less she likes that. and she's, we brought her up to, speak her mind, and she'll tell me, Mom, out of here. Okay. So, serenity. To change, to let go of the things that aren't mine. The courage to move forward on anything that's mine to do, and then the wisdom and the grace to be able to decide whether or not it is mine to do. Oh, and that's it. Love you guys. Love you.